Today's the day, part 3 and the final series of the Tania Culottes skirt by Megannielsen. This has been a fun one to make, but we have 5 steps left. We have the zipper, we have the waistband, we have the side seam, the inseam, and then finally the hemline. The hemline is just going to be turned up, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I do have a little tip that I want to share with you on how to do that circular skirt hemline, and it's super simple. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, next step is the waistband. So we need to cut interfacing with pattern piece 3 and 4. All right, so I'm going to use this French fuse. So I'm going to line this out. There's one, and there's one. And then we're going to iron this on. There's the front. And we're going to do the same thing for the back. We're just going to fit this right in here with the grain line. It's important that you put the interfacing on the waistband. Otherwise the waistband will get floppy, it won't have any structure. So we want to take the time to do this. So we're going to take our front piece, here's our front, and we're going to put it on the back side. We want to make sure that this bumpy side, that's the glue side, is on the wrong side. Then we're going to take it to our ironing board and then iron that down. All right, our next step is to fuse our interfacing with the bumpy side down onto the wrong side of the back side of the waistband. I am going to use a silk organza just to help protect these delicate layers from the iron. And you're just going to press and steam. We're not going to iron it back and forth. That'll move it around. So press and hold, and just let your iron steam that down. Press and hold all the way to the end. Press and hold. I love this silk organza because you can see through it, and that's just wonderful. If you can't see through it, you don't know if something got off or is shifted. And another tip I have when you're ironing interfacing is let your piece cool completely before you start working with it. We don't want to burn it. We just want it to fuse together. We want to warm up that glue so it fuses to the fabric. And that'll just give it a little bit more stability. So we'll remove this. So there's one side. This is the back. And I'm going to mark that with a B, so I know that that's the back. And now we're going to do the front. And again, I'm going to mark it with an F for the front. And we're going to take the other piece and we're going to lay that down. Just like that. And again, we're going to put our silk organza over the top to help protect all the layers, but yet we can still see it. And again, press and hold and just let all of that steam out. Just give it a good burst of steam. And again, we're not going back and forth. That's ironing. This is pressing. That's a little hot there. And once again, we're going to let this cool, and then we will move on to the next step. And there we go. We've got both pieces. We've got the front and the back interfaced. So it just gives it just a little bit more stability for the waistband. All right, one thing we want to make sure is that we have all of our notches marked. So just lay, and you can do this at the beginning when you're cutting everything out. I tend to kind of do it as I go. And then we're going to take our scissors, or however you like to make the notches, and then just make the notches. Just cut into it. Don't cut too far or it'll mess up your waistband. You want to stay within the seam allowance. So I just do like just 1/4 of an inch. So there's the back, and here's the front. Oops. We want right sides facing. I hope I did that there. Nope, I didn't. Okay, so that's a good good thing to learn here. You want right sides facing. A good thing to pay attention, right? All right. So this is probably center front. That's what I'm guessing. Most likely. All right, so we're going to come back here. We're going to put right sides facing. Just like that. And then we're going to re-notch it. And then I'll just make some sort of note on this side. I think I'm okay there. So I'll just take my pen and I'm just going to mark here and here, just so I know that that is the correct marking. All right, so we fixed our mistake really, really simply. All right, so place the two pieces right side together. And we were talking about the interfaced pieces. So right sides together, just like that. And we're going to sew up the right side seam. So this is the front. So this will be the right side seam, even though it's on my left. So again, struggling today. Okay, same thing. We're going to stitch right along here. And I hope my sewing machine's going to work today. I've been having some problems with it. Just going to trim that up. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch that right there. So when you look at the pattern piece, you've got this is the front, this is the back, and then we're going to stitch right here, which is the right seam, the right side seam. Now we're going to take the uninterfaced pieces and we're going to do the same thing. So we're just mirroring that. And we have the front on the top, the back on the bottom. See how I've marked it? Because these are very similar. And honestly, I think if you get them mixed up, it'll be okay. And then we're going to stitch a 5/8 inch seam down along this line. Now we're going to move on to the waistband of the skirt. Be sure you stay stitched all the way around. And now the instructions tell us to simply make a little cut. I would only go in about a half an inch, maybe not even that, about every inch. And this is going to take a curve and help pull it out straight so we can put on that waistband. And if you have something that's just a little off, just trim it. Sometimes things get off. But every inch, just come in just like that. We're going to go all the way to the other side. And do the same through the back. Just gives it a little bit more give than it would otherwise. And we're going to match up the side seams. You can see this is really slippery. So if your fabric wasn't slippery, I think you'd be good. All right, we're going to match up our notch with the center front, but not twist it like I almost did. So this is the center front. Let's see, if that wasn't stay stitched, this could rip down in there and then you'd have a real problem. So we'll just, when we start stitching, this will be taut as we take it through the machine. All right, now we have our waistband all pinned on here and we're ready to go take it to the sewing machine. Well, I've got the waistband sewn on, as you can see, and now we're going to just go ahead and pull this up just like that and iron that down. Now we're ready to put in the zipper. We're going to put in an invisible zipper, and what that looks like when it's all zipped up is that. The teeth are on the back. Typically you buy a zipper and it's this way. Well, an invisible is just the other way around. Now with the invisible zipper, you will need a special zipper foot. This one is an invisible zipper foot and you'll see the grooves in the back. And that's why you need this, you need the grooves. So when you're sewing, you're going to be sewing, goes this way, sorry. That's going to go in the groove. And then when you're sewing, your stitch is going to go just right there on the edge. So I got this one from madamsew. I saw this all over the internet. And it took me 6 months to buy a set. So I bought the set, and I do need the low shank adapter, which came with the set, because the bar across the presser foot is smaller than my sewing machine. So that'll just snap right on there like that. So I will have to switch that out on my sewing machine. But I thought this was a no-brainer. I paid $60 for this kit, and it has 32 different presser feet. Now I may not use all of them, I don't know. but I have it at my disposal. And I bought this because with my sewing machine, each presser foot is $35. So that's why I thought this is a no-brainer. I'll just go ahead and do this. So the next thing we want to do is turn it upside down, unzip it, and then this is the, just make sure that, oh, and I went through and I serged all of my edges on my skirt, so I don't have to worry about that. So this is the back of the skirt, and we want the teeth going inside, in towards the skirt, not out like this. It's gonna go this way, so then when we turn it around like that, then we can zip up the side. So we're just gonna pin that down. Just all the way down. Now we're gonna change out the presser foot and we're gonna stitch to about here. So I hope you can see this. I've got this right side of the teeth in the right side of the groove, and I'm just gonna start stitching. Back stitch just a few, and it's important to keep the teeth in that groove. Just all the way down. Just take your time. This is why you want an invisible zipper foot. That way it comes out just perfect. We're going to go down as far as we can. Sometimes the tools make or break a project. So if you're putting in an invisible zipper, I highly recommend to get the right foot. Otherwise, I just don't think you'll get close enough. Okay, we're coming down. We know we can't go past here. So we're going to go as far as we can. Yeah, see? I'm going to back stitch just to lock that in and then cut my threads. There's one side. So I've got the 1/2 of the zipper in. In my bulky area, I did cut that out and then go back in and stitch because I was having just a little trouble. Make sure you can zip this up and down. So now we're going to zip it back down. We're going to come to the other side of our waistband. All right, so we have the zipper in, or half of it anyway, and now we need to put it on this side. So with the right sides facing, you're going to be able to see that I just put this zipper in, just like that. Now we don't want to twist this. This is where it gets just a little bit tricky. So we want to come in just like this. All right, we want to come in just like this. This is our back, this is our front, and pin this down because we want this to go in just like that. And we don't want to twist this other side. This is where the invisible zipper gets a little bit tricky. I'm just going to pin this down, and then we're going to sew using our invisible zipper foot down this other side. And then it'll be all hidden in the seam and no one will be the wiser. But there again, I have such forgiving fabric that it's gonna be nice. All right, so here you can see, and then as this comes over, you can tell it'll just fit in that seam just nicely and it will be invisible. Now we're going to be mindful of where our needle is. So we want to stitch on this side of the tape So we're going to put the teeth through the left side of that little channel there. We're going to stitch all the way down as far as we can go. Oh, okay, I want you to see my pin pushed this out. So now it's okay. I'm just going to come out, and this might happen to you too. You can kind of tell right there that it went through there. That's all right. We're going to fix it. Everything's fixable in sewing. Well, most everything. We're just going to pick this out. See, even when you've been sewing for 50 years, things still happen. I'm just going to come and pick this out, and then we'll start about here and go down. I mean, you may love putting zippers in. You may hate it. You know, it's not my favorite thing. I will admit to that. All right. And the only reason it did that was my pin pushed it out of the way. And I didn't want that to happen. But it's fixable. So we're going to put the teeth in the left channel, and we're just going to fix that area. All right, here we go. The pin was just enough to push it over. So you didn't have to rip the whole thing out, just part of it. So we're going to be mindful of this pin when we get close to it. See, now I think it's a good time to take it out. And we're going to take this down as far as we can. It's about there. All right, here you go. You can see that we have our zipper in, and it's pretty much invisible with this fabric. You're not going to really be able to see it once we get the side seam done. Next, we're going to go ahead and carry this seam all the way down the side. We're going to be real careful and pull out the tape just a little bit and kind of maneuver that. You may even want to start a little bit lower and then come back and work into that. Our next step is to finish up the waistband. So we're going to take the uninterfaced piece, the one that's not attached to the skirt, and we're going to turn up this edge about 5/8 of an inch. Now my little trick is just to go ahead and make a stitching. Take it to your sewing machine, stitch down through here. This gives you something to work with, and you will come through here and go ahead and fold that in, and then we're going to be ready to attach this to the waistband. Now we're going to unzip the culottes so the facing or the zipper lays flat. And now we're just going to take our facing where we had just pulled that up and pin it all the way around. And when we stitch, we're going to be mindful of where our zipper is, because we're going to stitch on the inside of it. So what I like to do is stitch around here, and then I'll come down with my zipper foot and come down this way. I just kind of break it up just a little bit. So this is the top of our waistband. So just keep that in mind. This will come down, and then all of that will be hidden. Do you hear my grandson? He's just playing. He is having a good old time. And then just keep coming around till we get around to the side, then we'll take it to the sewing machine. I went ahead, you can tell I stitched as close to the teeth as I could on the selvage side here, as well as the other side of, there we go. You get lost in the fabric sometimes. Now I'm going to trim off my excess. Just like that. And I'm gonna trim along here. We're gonna turn it under. See, you'll see how that zipper will go all the way up, and then we'll just come back in, and I'll probably just hand sew that down because I didn't want any stitching to show on the outside. As I'm working on the waistband, I want to give you a couple of tips. Now, my fabric is very slippery, so I'm having to take a little more time. So what I've decided to help this lay down much quicker or much nicer is I'm going to open up that seam and just give it a light press all the way down the waistband. And to get into the hard spots, go ahead and pull out your seam roll if you have one. Go down as far as I can. Looks like I'm just have a little bit left. So if I'm having this issue, I figure someone else is too. So here's my solution. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to, with both sides going towards the waistband, the interface side, I'm going to come down through. Now it's going the other direction, sorry. Otherwise it'll show. This is the interface side, this is the non-interface side. So now we're gonna pull, we're gonna press upward. Even though we've pressed out, we're gonna press upward now. And I'm gonna go down through here and do some understitching. Oh, that's hot. And the understitching will help hold all of this in place and roll this way much nicer. So as you can see, this is an extra step, but I think an extra step well worth it. Now I have something sturdy right here that I can turn under, and then I will just turn this under here. And I'm, like I said, I'm gonna hand sew this, but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and press the top of the waistband down. With this, I can already feel that I have much more control over the top of the waistband. So we're just going to press that into place. All the way around. And then I'll be ready to finish out the waistband on the underneath side. I am going to leave the hand sewing for last. So I just want to move on with my sewing machine pieces. So I'm putting this is the front, I believe. And I want to find the opening for the back side. Here we go. So you want to lay these right sides facing. And now we're going to pin this part of it. And we're going to stitch from here all the way to here. And then finally, we will hem it. So we're getting there. And once I stitch through here, I will press the seam allowance open. A couple more pins, and then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. I'm just going to stitch all the way down, and then we're going to press that open. All right, so you'll be able to see that I stitched that down, and now we're just going to open up those seams with our iron and give it a good press. The culottes are almost done. I went ahead and hand stitched the inside facing of the waistband down just like that, and then I gave it a good press. So next is the hem. I did go ahead and serge just because I like to use that as a guideline. It's a nice sturdy line of thread that goes through there. So what I'm going to do now is fold this up, press it, fold this up again, and I'm just going to have my iron on the whole time, and I'm going to pin all of this in place as I go. And then I'll take it to the sewing machine and then go ahead and stitch that down.